My entitled mother-in-law mocks my husband because of his nose, constantly saying that he should get a nose job while also constantly putting him down at every chance that she gets. But now I discovered something that absolutely crossed the line, as she photoshopped my wedding photos with my husband just to make my husband's nose look better in her eyes. And I'm so disgusted and disturbed, I seriously now don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I'm a 27-year-old female, and I've been with my husband for 7 years. I remember that early in our relationship, one of the first things he expressed insecurity about was his nose, specifically about how wide it is. He never wanted surgery, but thinks his nose is too big for his face. I never thought that was true, and for a long time I wondered where he'd gotten that idea from. Then I met his mother, and all my doubts went out the window. I don't hate her, but the woman complains about everything, and she seems particularly interested in criticizing her sons. Barely anything about my husband or his older brother is good enough for her, and if it is, she is quick to imply that they don't deserve it. According to my brother-in-law, that behavior didn't start until their father passed away about 8 years ago, so they don't usually hold it against her. But to me, it seems like she legitimately doesn't want her children to be happy. Most times we talk to her, my husband ends up devastated. She constantly complains about me, his job, our apartment, and his appearance. She has on more than one occasion suggested he get a nose job. Now that really tends to upset him, so I always try to shut that down as quickly as possible. We got married in early May. The photos were ready about 2 months later, and we created a shared album on Google Photos for our family and friends, including my mother-in-law. I got pregnant during our honeymoon, and I'm now 24 weeks along. We've had problems with his mom concerning my pregnancy. I mean, we're having a boy, and she had a breakdown because she wanted a girl. So that has forced us to put her on an information diet. That was 2 months ago, and she has since improved her behavior. Because of that, we said yes when she invited us to go to a mall near her place to shop for baby clothes last Saturday. My husband had an emergency at work and ended up not coming, but we still managed to have a good time. When we were done, she invited me back to her place. I had not been there in a while, and I quickly saw that she'd gotten some of our wedding pictures up on the wall. And it's right then that I instantly noticed something was wrong with them, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was yet. My mother-in-law saw what I was looking at and proudly announced that she had finally gotten someone to fix my husband's nose. In other words, she gave her son a Photoshop nose job on his wedding pictures. And when she told me this, I was honestly completely blown away. I couldn't believe it. I never thought she'd stoop so low, and it wasn't even a good nose job. It was so bad that my husband's face didn't even look real. He looked like a Ken doll, and not in the hot Ryan Gosling kind of way. My mother-in-law must have seen how mad I got, because she instantly tried to defend herself. She tried to make the point that her son deserved to look his best on his wedding day, and I should have convinced him to get the real nose job before our ceremony. I made up an excuse to leave, but I could tell she knew the real reason. She's been calling and texting me almost every single day ever since. I've been ignoring her, but she's always either apologizing, accusing me of overreacting, or begging me not to tell my husband. I know it seems trivial, but I'm outraged, and the more I think about it, the more disgusted I get. I could never imagine doing something like that to my child. I haven't told my husband yet, mostly because we've both been busy with work this week, but also because I have no idea how to. His mother was finally starting to be a better person around him and his brother, and I know it will break his heart to find out about this. I don't know what to do. I have to tell him, but I can't figure out how. I know he loves his mother, and I don't want to damage whatever relationship they still have. She also mentioned that she intended to send the improved pictures to some of her relatives, so I have to find a way to try and shut that down. So I'm honestly wondering how I can tell my husband that his mother photoshopped his face on our wedding pictures, because right now I'm kind of at a loss. Before we go any further, the original poster actually has an update for us. Here's what they had to say. I first want to say thank you to everybody who took the time to offer some advice on my last post. First of all, I want to clarify that not telling my husband what his mother did was never truly an option. She wouldn't remove the picture from her house unless I either told him or threatened her. Had I done the latter, she would use that against me in the future, or even imply I agreed with her. Plus, he was bound to find out at some point, and I knew it would be better if it came from me. So I was truly asking how to do it, not about whether I should or not. So I sat him down last Saturday and I broke the news. I explained what the pictures were and my mother-in-law's excuses for them. I also showed him the text messages that she had sent me since my visit. The whole conversation, I was calm and straightforward, but I also made it very clear that not only only did her actions completely disgust me, but I never agreed with her about his appearance. He's the most gorgeous man I've ever met, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with his nose. I also made sure to point out that the Photoshop nose made him look like front-facing Phineas from Phineas and Ferb, and she needs to get her eyes checked if she really thought it looked good. I thought the news would hurt him, and you know what? I was completely right. He didn't cry or anything like that, but I could see it in his face. The odd but common combination of disappointment and acceptance. He knew his mother wouldn't change, but still had some kind of hope. It was almost heartbreaking to watch, but for the first time in a while, he seemed to believe me when I said his nose was normal. He told me that now that he knew just how ridiculous his mom was willing to be, her opinion meant a lot less to him. So even though he's hurt, he feels stronger than ever. As many of you suggested, I told him that he was free to approach the situation however he pleased, but I don't want to be around his mother anymore. Most importantly, I don't want her around our son or any other kids we might have. Not only because of the guilt-tripping tantrums that have become her standard behavior, but also because of the way she treats the people she's supposed to love. I know she loves her family, but I doubt she knows how love works. If she's willing to treat her sons like this, I fully expect her to be even worse to her grandchildren. In the end, my husband and I decided we're going very low contact with his mom until the holidays. Some of his relatives are throwing a party the week before Christmas, and she will be at that party. We thought about skipping it, but he has cousins he hasn't seen in years coming for that party. He's been looking forward to seeing them for months, and it just doesn't seem fair to let her ruin his excitement. But after the holidays, we'll decide how to proceed. Regardless, she won't be allowed to see our son at the hospital when he's born, and once we bring him home, she won't be left alone with the baby. It doesn't matter how much she tries to improve, that is not something we're willing to budge on. In spite of everything, my husband doesn't want to cut ties with his mother, and I understand that. Even if he wanted to, he can't go fully no contact without cutting off the rest of his maternal family as well, which he is firmly against. What works best for now is to treat her like Domino's Pizza. She exists and that's fine, but we are not getting involved until she actually improves. I also decided to tell some of my own family about this, and everyone I've talked to agrees that my mother-in-law went over the line. My father is a narcissist who I'm mostly low contact with, all because of his entitled behavior, and even he, with all things considered, was incredibly offended on my husband's behalf. We talked to my brother-in-law, and he's the one who informed my mother-in-law of our decision. Well, needless to say, she didn't take this news well at all. She's now trying to call both me and my husband, and keeps texting apologies and promises to take the picture down. But you know what? We're just ignoring her. My brother-in-law visited her yesterday, and apparently the pictures are gone. She believed that was enough for us to forgive her, but he clarified that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done. Now, before anyone calls us dramatic, this isn't just about the Photoshop. This is about the damage she's caused in both her sons' lives. I've dealt with similar things in my teens from my dad's exes, and I refuse to allow my child to grow up believing he's anything less than beautiful. And honestly, the same thing goes for my husband. Yeah, that's an awful thing for the mom to do in that situation. Like, seriously, why do you have to be so mean and be like, wow, your nose is ugly. You should try and get a nose job to fix your ugly big nose. Like, what kind of mother would treat their son like that? So truly good for you and your husband for putting your foot down and setting up some very clear boundaries, because it's abundantly clear that she's incredibly toxic towards you and your husband. And I honestly don't blame you for not wanting that in your life. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for not taking my sister's side about her exclusive wedding choices? Because at this point, she literally won't drop the subject, and I'm kind of at a loss and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my sister is getting married late next year after a really long engagement. Her fiance has a large family, and she's getting a lot of pressure from his mom to invite a ton of people. She's going for a more expensive venue with a smaller guest list. As a result, she isn't inviting a lot of people's partners, including the best man's boyfriend and my mother-in-law's partner with whom I cohabitate. Initially, I was told I would get a +1 to invite my best friend and old college roommate who lives overseas in the United Kingdom. She spent Christmas with us while she couldn't travel due to COVID and her parents being healthcare workers, so she stayed with the family. Since I moved in with my partner and my friend moved back to England though, my +1 has been rescinded and he has not been invited. Since some people have been responding to the RSVP request with a no, I thought he he might end up getting invited, but he still hasn't been. She's met him many times and even stayed in our home with us. My mom, totally without my knowledge, even offered to pay for my partner to be at the wedding because my parents wanted him there. But after this, my sister got in touch saying that he couldn't come at all. She cited expenses, even though mom said that she'd help with it, while also saying that it would be a slippery slope, while also not wanting me to spend the whole day with him so that I could instead focus on her. She stated that if she invited my partner, she'd have to invite the best man's partner as well. Well, I told her that in that case, I understand the best man's frustrations with his other half not being there. I told her that this choice is going to result in people being upset and she just might have to stomach that. She keeps saying that she is scared that I'm going to hate her and that I'm adding to people making her feel bad about her choices, despite the fact that she's the one that brought it up. She stated that she thinks everyone is turning against her and she seems to want me to take her side and be okay with it, but I kind of just can't do that. I genuinely think she's wrong to not invite long-term partners of immediate family. She keeps asking me if I'm going to hate her forever, and I say no, I may disagree with her, but I'm not some kind of grudge-bearing child. But despite all that, she won't let it go. It's like she wants me to tell her I agree with her decision. My partner is my best friend in the world. We have a dog and a whole life together. If anyone else did this, I just wouldn't go to the wedding, but it's my sister and I'm the maid of honor, so I'm going to have to go, but I'm kind of mad at her. I don't want to go on about it and bring it up again. I just simply won't take her side. She's making me feel really bad, like I'm victimizing her by being upset or something like that. I mean, am I making it about me? Should I just drop it and support her choice? What should I do? Honestly, it really seems like she's trying to validate her choice by having somebody on her side. Everybody's upset at her, and for good reason. Like, people are saying, no, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to reserve a spot because my significant other can't show up. And in your case, she's basically saying, no, I don't want them here. And then she goes on to claim that it's all about her, and that if your partner's there, then you're not going to focus on her special day. That's the dumbest excuse on planet Earth, and that's a complete lie. Because here's the truth. She could easily reverse this right now and be like, hey, if you got invited, you can bring one other person with you. That's it. And then this could literally be solved like overnight. This is one email to everybody that got invited right then and there. She could send out that message and just solve all of her problems. But instead, she's trying to like double down and find somebody that can support her. And that, in my opinion, is just so unacceptable. So no, you are not the jerk in this situation. You didn't do anything wrong. And honestly, I understand where you're coming from. This is your sister after all. So you do kind of have to be there to some extent. But in my opinion, that absolutely does not mean that you have to cave and agree with your sister's stupid decisions. My boyfriend and I have different standards of cleanliness. And as a result, I find myself doing 90% of the household chores while he constantly makes a mess. And at this point, I'm so utterly frustrated and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I've been with my partner for just over 2 years now. We have been compatible on a lot of levels, but lately we've been running into some roadblocks with cleanliness. I grew up in a pretty messy house. My family typically put off cleaning until things really started to build up, and I realized that when I lived on my own, I tried to be way more organized. My partner's family has always been very clean. No clutter left on any surfaces, the sink was empty, cushions were neatly arranged on the couches, you get the idea. For my partner, however, cleaning is not his strength. When he lived at home, his bedroom was always the only messy room in the house, and since we moved in together about 5 months ago, I've noticed he especially has a tendency to just leave things after he uses them, whether it's his jacket or a bag sitting on the floor by the door, or even cushions and blankets lying randomly on the couch. And this also includes beer cans or drinks that are left on the tables, as well as cereal boxes left on the counter. He earns more money than me, so he pays about $250 more on rent. As a result, I agreed to work a little bit extra around the house with dishes, vacuuming, laundry, as well as other things. And while I am completely fine with this, it seems like I'm doing 90% of all the household chores. My partner is very busy. He works 2 part-time jobs and 1 full-time as a teacher. Not because he needs the money, but because he likes being busy. He would still be entirely financially sound if he just worked his teaching job. As a result of his schedule, when he gets home, he's absolutely tanked and understandably needs the remainder of the day to rest. I work about 35 hours a week, but tend to start work at around 5 o'clock in the morning and finish work at around 1 o'clock. So I'm typically home for a lot more of the day than he is. I spend about 2 hours each day cleaning, but a lot of my time is spent doing doing really small things, like cleaning up some of the things that he left behind that could have easily been dealt with in the moment. And moreover, if I don't deal with them myself, it's usually days, if not weeks, before he takes care of them himself. For example, we still have the Halloween decorations he put out because he has procrastinated taking them all down. I began to take them down and asked if he could finish the cleaning, and he agreed, but then did not follow through. They are all his decorations, as Halloween is his favorite season, and he likes to go all out. Lately though, I've been admittedly getting more frustrated with the buildup of clutter, and I feel like I've been nagging him more than usual, especially because he's been working so much that the little time we do have together usually involves me saying something about the condition of the house. Yesterday, we got into an argument about our standards of cleanliness, and he said that being clean and organized is just not for him. I said I am more than happy to do the big things in the house, but I do need him to make more of an effort to do the small things. He told me that I am excessive with the cleaning, and I don't need to do all the tasks I often do. He also said I need to learn to live with some kind of mess, because he is generally not a very organized person. This frustrated me, because I expressed to him how important a general clean space is to me. I also have never commented on the condition of our room and bathroom, which has his clothes and belongings all over the floor. I told him that he has his space, but that I would like the main floor to just remain tidy, but I just can't maintain it all by myself. I told him that it would be a lot easier for me to clean if I didn't have to start by cleaning up a lot of the small messes that keep getting left behind. Stuff like disorganized pillows and blankets, shoes being left out, or even food being left out. But he seemed to interpret this as me saying, "Oh, I'm annoyed because you don't fix the pillows on the couch." On top of this, my partner wants to adopt his own dog, which stresses me out even more with how little he is at home. I know the dog will largely become my responsibility, and on top of all the cleaning I do, it seems like way too much. I feel like I'm being responsible, but he really doesn't seem to even be open to compromise. I recognize that I can probably be more lenient on the clutter, but I keep my mouth shut about the bedroom and upstairs and need a shared space where everything is in its place. I'm so frustrated, and at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. This really is a tricky situation because this guy works 3 jobs. He's a teacher on top of 2 part-time jobs, all just to stay busy. And last I checked, at least during the school year, teachers are plenty busy with what they have going on. So it's really surprising to me that he would be working so much all the time. But on that note, I really do think he needs to do his fair share. Like, this guy's obviously leaving all of this housework to you, and he doesn't respect the fact that you do so much around this house. You're cleaning up, you're getting things tidy, and overall, you're keeping things really nice downstairs. And you put it best, you haven't said anything about the room the 2 of you share, which in my opinion is a big thing that definitely needs to be considered. So with all of that in mind, I don't think that you're being unreasonable in the slightest. I definitely think your partner can step up and do more around the house, because right now it sounds like he's resistant to doing anything around the house at all, and that in my opinion is completely inappropriate. Am I the jerk for telling my stepmom that she needs to accept that she will never be my real mother? Here's what happened. So my parents divorced when I was a baby, and my older brother was 2 at the time. Our dad remarried just a year after the divorce, and they created a blended family. Dad had us, and our stepmom had 2 boys who were pretty much the same age as my brother and me, and they have 3 more boys together. My parents split custody of my brother and me, and we always knew life with both parents. We also always knew life with our stepmom, but we still knew that our mom was our mom and our stepmom was our stepmom. I have never considered my stepmom equal to my mother in my life. My mom comes first. If I want motherly advice, I go to her. It's my mom that I want when I'm upset. And my stepmom is fine, but she is not my mother. Now, one thing about my stepmom that really makes me awkward around her is that she always wanted to be a mom to a daughter, since she has no girls. Well, she apparently latched onto me from the time she and dad got serious, and my grandparents and aunts and uncles said that she used to try and dress us in matching stuff. She has this weird fixation on me. She's not upset that my brother considers her second best, but it bothers her that I don't consider her my mom. She tells me every year just before Mother's Day that she would love for me to call her on that day while I'm with my mother. She will also ask if I want to do some mother-daughter Mother's Day event with her every year, and I always say no. Then I get to see her face fall and she'll start crying. I don't have that kind of love for her, and I'm not sure I actually do love her. She makes me so uncomfortable with her obsession with me being a girl for her. My mom joined me for a mother-daughter photography trip that was going on for my photography club. We were gone for an entire day and had a great time. Well, my stepmom saw photos of us on social media, and she cried at me asking why I invited my mom when it wasn't even Mother's Day, and then said that I could have invited or asked her instead, and we could have done something cool like that as well. She told me how much she longs to get the experience of being a mom to a daughter. So I told my stepmom that she will never be a mom to a girl, and that I will always be my mom's daughter and not hers. She told me she's been in my life since I was literally a toddler, and that I should see them both as my mom, especially since I spend the same amount of time with both of them. She said it's disgusting that I would reject her over and over again and then tear her down like that when she could easily be my second mom. So honestly, am I the jerk in this situation? What should I do? It really sounds like your stepmom's being like super pushy. She clearly is jealous of your actual mom, and she's now trying to take it out on you by guilt tripping you into basically doing all these like mother-daughter things with someone who is not your biological mother. Now don't get me wrong, I don't know anything about this woman other than the fact that she's like obsessed with you, so I don't know if she's like mean at home or anything like that. I don't know if you're being standoffish and she's really trying to be involved or something like that, so I can't say whether or not you should like throw her a bone and try and develop a better relationship, or if it's a good thing to try and stay away and set some boundaries. But based on what you've described, this would honestly make me very annoyed. I can only imagine having a step-parent acting like that towards me and being like, wow, I'm so glad I have a son in my life. It's like, sure, that's great, but this obsession over me really does not seem healthy, and I feel like this kind of falls in line with what you're dealing with as well, at least from what we know. So honestly, I don't think you're the jerk in this situation. Just because she's been around since you're a toddler shouldn't automatically mean that you've connected with her on the same way that she's obsessing with you, because that in my opinion is super weird, and it shouldn't be your problem to manage her emotions. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out Easy Mode. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.